What is going on, guys? Predator458 here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to World of Warships, where today we're going to be taking a look at a match that I literally just finished in the Tier 6 Japanese battleship, the Fuso. It's been a while since I've taken a look at any of the lower tier ships, and this wasn't originally my plan. I've been trying to get some higher tier battleship gameplay done as well. Yamato, I tried Montana, Iowa, that sort of thing, but it just wasn't really working out. They just weren't particularly exciting matches. The game was screwing me over, always spawning me like away from the majority of my fleet. And then I was faced with like the majority of the enemy fleet, so I couldn't be aggressive. Even in the likes of the Yamato, they still burn quite well. So after giving up on that, I decided to try the Fuso. And let me just say, this turned out to be a pretty fantastic match. It is a replay because, as I said, I'd given up on the idea of recording tonight. So it is just the replay file. But I think you will agree, once you see the end of it, that it is indeed a pretty spectacular match, I think at least. So first target spotted, Cleveland, outside of our range, which is what, 21.2 or something? I forget. Haven't looked at the stats for these kind of ships for a long time, as I said, but I haven't really played seriously for quite some time. But there we go. This is someone we can shoot at. Cleveland at 13, but he's going to be behind the mountain before, or behind the little island before we can get a shot on him. So we're considering going for that Fuso. There's a New York. Things are just being spotted and then they're disappearing, so we can't get a proper lead on anyone. But one thing I've been finding at the higher tiers, at tier 9 and 10, is because I haven't played in a while, my aim is off. So it's not just the game, it's also me. But I expected the same to happen here. But anyways, it's Cleveland is now approaching. Bit of a replay bug, I'm guessing. Now he appears, finally, thank you. And we fire off a full salvo, and this is looking pretty good. And we smash him with 5 hits. And I didn't even get to see how much damage that was. I'm sure you guys did, though. It was a fairly substantial whack of hit points that we removed from the Tier 6 American cruiser. So yeah, I expected to my aim to be even more out of practice with the Fuso, but it was just kind of landed up working. So we're going to take a stab at the enemy Fuso. Got some torpedoes coming in. I really didn't want to try and go into A. And unfortunately we aimed a little bit too far to the right of him, and we land up missing, because battleships that go into sea, I mean, it very rarely works out. And again, I mean, I spawned right under sea, long way away from my other battleships and most of my fleet, and that very few ships around me. But we're just trying to head over and get towards our allies. We take a stab at the New York, who is at pretty much maximum range. And we're going to check any minute now, there we go, and see how these shells are doing. And they start landing in the water. We only manage a single hit, but hey, a hit's a hit. And I wasn't exactly expecting that. So now we got another New York. And he disappears before we can properly ascertain his course and speed and get a good lead on him for a shot. Cleveland, what's that, 19 kilometers, but then we do have this Fuso at 12, who is busy trying to capture B, but our team is doing a pretty good job of constantly hitting him, and as such, resetting the cap. So we're trying to move in here, and see if we can help out, get some shots on the Fuso. But we just got to keep an eye out on all the other battleships. There's the Cleveland, who's running that New Year's camo that they did. He takes a big hit, and so does the Fuso, who's down to 13,500 hit points. We take a stab at the Cleveland, may as well. We should be reloaded in time by the time we get a shot on the Fuso, because now our reload time is 27 seconds. Back in close beta, and those are looking not bad. One hit for 3,300. They could have maybe just been aimed a little bit higher. But I mean, the Fuso was a great ship in close beta, In release it's even better because your reload time is shorter. I'm fairly certain that back in closed beta it was 30 seconds like every other battleship. So we take a shot, full salvo, he's on very low health, 7 hits, incapacitation, and we steal the kill. You know, I don't feel bad. And I know there's no real kill stealing in this game because obviously it's all about damage done, but some people out there might still have a problem. But I had the opportunity, and you never know, he could have gotten another salvo away and done serious damage to a teammate. So better to kill him as soon as possible. Just turning a bit to our port to try and get a shot off. Unfortunately, I zoom out and I notice, oh well, aimed straight at the mountain. So we're going to throw it hard to starboard, and we're now going to try and move towards B. And the shot actually looked like it was aimed pretty well, and maybe if more of our rounds had made it over the island, we would have collected or gotten a hit or so. A lot of planes, but they are in the 8th line, so they're quite far away from us at the moment, so we don't have to worry about them too much. We do have the lead at the moment in terms of points. It's 2-2. We're going to take a blind shot over there towards that Cleveland to try and see if maybe we can save our ally there, but they kind of kill trade. I think there was a Furutaka, I think. I didn't quite pay attention to the name, and he fired torpedoes at the Cleveland, who was a complete moron and charged an enemy cruiser with torpedoes and got to that kind of range. So 3-3, we are still in the lead, but not by a whole lot. 420 versus 341, and that's mostly down to the fact that we've only lost 3 cruisers and they've lost 2 cruisers and a battleship. But we've just managed to get one of their destroyers, so our points advantage has grown slightly, but trust me, it is not going to last. I was turning towards the torpedo bombers and dive bombers because I was like, no, I know what's going to happen now, I'm going to get torpedoed. But an interesting move by the carrier player, I think it was the Tier 6 Ryujo player, went for the Furutaka instead. So unfortunately, because of the way the team did split up and move out, we did kind of leave the entire sea flank open, but I was not going to stick around there by myself, and with only 1 or 2 cruisers as support in case there was a major push. Battleships are herd animals, I think, and they work better together. So a Nuremberg has managed to sneak through, and I think a New Mexico as well, who we will see later on in the match. But here we got a New York, 16.5 kilometers, going to fire off the front 2 guns. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get a shot off with our front middle. And how are those doing? The lead was good, but could have done with a little bit more elevation. We're going to try a sneaky shot at this Cleveland, see if maybe things will work out in our favor, and unfortunately, only 1 shell makes it through. And it doesn't hit. It would be amazing if that 1 shell that made it through was like a Citadel. But, sadly, no joy. So we're moving towards A to go and try and help our allied New Mexico, who's coming under fire by 2 New Yorks. We got planes coming in, and unfortunately I think the New Mexico is going to fall relatively soon. Before, there we go, he's down. So now I decide, no, there's no longer any point to pushing through this channel into A because he's already dead. So we're going to start turning to port and heading back towards B to where we have another battleship and a cruiser. Dive bombers coming in. We managed to shoot 1 down before the bombs are dropped, but unfortunately majority still hit, and we are set on fire. Now this was a risky move turning like this, but it pretty much paid off. Only took about 5,000 damage from the combined salvos of these 2 New Yorks, but I mean, we all know the Fuso doesn't have the best armor in the world. And at close ranges like this, full broadside onto an enemy battleship is never a good idea. So, just waiting for our front 3 turrets to get on target. We're going to take a stab at White Mamba. And then we're going to swing the booty of the ship to speed it the time it takes to get the rear 3 turrets on target. I'm going to fire those off. Unfortunately, the first salvo only managed a single hit, even though it did look pretty well aimed. 2 hits for 3,300 there. That one we could have aimed forward a bit more, so I think we do readjust the shot here. And in a few seconds, we will fire off another salvo from the front 3 guns. Shots on the way, and these are looking better. 3 hits, 5,500 damage, and the rear guns are ready, so we're going to fire those off as well. New Mexico in front of us, who has come through the sea channel. 2 hits only on that salvo. But we are managing to dodge and or bounce most of the returning fire from the 2 New Yorks. Take the lead. I think I did aim a little bit above his waterline here because he is traveling away from us slightly. And those shells land a little bit high, maybe 2 hits for 2,000, so they were overpens. I think they hit a superstructure. But those shots find their mark. 1 Citadel, 2 hits for just under 12,000 damage. We're going to turn the ship to try and get all guns on target again, and we're going to take a stab at him with the front 3 guns. He is turning, so we're going to move in, aim a bit closer to him when the rear guns are ready, and fire those off. I did kind of like slow down and pretty much stop here just to keep this guy in my crosshair. 2 hits for 5,800 damage. He's now down to just 2,400 hit points. Waiting for our guns once again. Nearly ready, so we're going to fire the front 3 off and switch targets to the other New York with our rear 3. And there we go. Shells in, 2 hits, 2,500 damage, and we get the kill. Second of the match. Now I was a little bit unsure where to go here. Only a single hit, 2,800, or sorry, 2 hits. It was well aimed, but the dispersion just wasn't the greatest. And then I spot Major Cleveland in his Ryujo. So we're going full speed ahead, and we're going to start turning to port to try and get all guns on target and see if we can finish off the Ryujo. We have now lost A and C, unfortunately, but we are still just shy of 100 points in the lead. But now they've just managed to sink one of our other ships, and that's brought the points difference down to less than 10. 1 gun on the way, and we managed to get a hit and a Citadel for 11,800 damage. Hopefully we can repeat that, or imagine how good that could have been if all guns had been ready. So we're going to fire everything else at it as it is ready. And that other gun is ready. Unfortunately, we gave a little bit too much lead, so we only get a single hit. We are going to readjust for that single front turret which fired out of sequence. And we've got a Karlsruhe coming behind us in this channel. We're not going to pay too much attention to him because the enemy team is now in the lead. I'm going to stagger these shots because he is turning, and hopefully get a good few hits. But I'm not going to focus the Karlsruhe right now because the carrier is worth more points, and that would be more helpful. We get a total of 5 hits. I didn't quite calculate how much damage that was quite quickly enough, but I think it was around another 10,000 or so. But now he's got his squadrons in the air. We had another hit for 1,000 damage. Now the Karlsruhe is firing on us, but we're going to turn away just so that we don't get to in range of his torpedoes. More shells coming in, bit of lag there. 1,200 damage taken, not the end of the world. We haven't even had to use a repair party yet. We're still on 33,000 hit points. I suppose we could and probably should, but we're just going to hold on to it for the time being. So I focused down, I'm not sure which squadron I focused. Probably this torpedo squadron at 3.2. First wave of dive bombers comes in, sets us on fire, does some minor damage. We're slowing down and turning hard to port. Thankfully, our carrier did come to the rescue and shoot down the majority, if not all, of the other torpedo bombers in the other squadron. So we're just going to take a single hit from the torpedo bombers, and we're going to use our repair kit and build our hit points back up to 30,000. Less than 10 kilometers away, full salvo. That should pretty much finish him off. And indeed it does. Another Citadel, 3 hits, 15,000 damage, and that is our 3rd kill of the match. So that has briefly brought us back into the lead. New York over there on our port side, about 17 kilometers. But I'm trying to get to a firing position on this New Mexico and try and protect our carriers. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to straighten out. And there Major Cleveland says, and this made me laugh, he says, nice bot pre. So, how, I mean, the stupidity sometimes. He's less than 10 kilometers away. How am I going to miss that shot? So, anyways, he decided to vent a little bit, so good for him. But I noticed which way the New Mexico is moving, so I start switching my guns over to the other side of the ship to get some hits on the Karlsruhe. Again, the enemy team is in the lead by 20 odd points, and if we can sink the Karlsruhe, it will bring it back into our advantage. New Mexico is capping A. I did consider going to C or A to try and cap, but Fuso's not particularly fast, and probably by the time I got there, they would have a massive points advantage. So I decided it was better to go and fight the enemy and try and sink them and win our points back that way. Karlsruhe's on rather low health, so we don't need too many hits to finish him. I'm just waiting until we come around this island to make 100% sure that none of our shells hit the landmass. Fire off the front 3 guns, and they're looking good. Another Citadel, and we get the kill. But even though we've did that, the enemy team still got a close to a 40-point advantage. 4th kill of the match, so now we're going to turn our guns, or turn our ship to port to bring all our guns to bear on the New Mexico. They did manage to sink our carrier, so it's 3v3 right now, but at least we have the capture point advantage as well. He's firing his guns. I'm going to take the lead. All guns are ready, full salvo. On the way, we slow down and manage to dodge most of his shots. And the spread on that is fantastic. Another Citadel hit, and we get the kill. And we get Kraken Unleashed, which is the first time I've gotten that medal, which speaks, I think, more to the fact that I haven't played much since it was introduced, but still, first time, and we got it. So we are in the lead. I think it was quite close. I wasn't sure if we were going to win, but now it's fairly certain. We've got 2 points. We've got a close to 100-point lead. Shots on the New York are looking good. 7 hits for 15, just under 15,000 damage. He's on very low health. And with hindsight, I probably should have switched to high explosive here, because such low health, a full salvo of high explosive would probably kill him and set him on fire if it didn't. But he's still giving us a broadside, so I thought, yes, maybe I can get 6 kills. Another full salvo on the way, another salvo looking good, but 4 hits and they only do 1800 damage, which was really unfortunate. So here's where I definitely should have switched to high explosive, because now he is going to turn in towards me and start angling his armor, and we're just not going to be able to do the kind of damage we want to do. Nearly ready to fire again. Less than 7,000 hit points. Come on, game, be nice to me. And horrible spread on that. 3 hits, 1600 damage again. And unfortunately, we are not going to get a chance to fire off another salvo. So that is the end of the match. As you can see, we earned ourselves, call it 319,000 credits. Just shy of 6,000 experience. We got Kraken Unleashed. We got 63 target hits, 2 planes shot down, 1 incapacitation, 5 kills, 5 citadels, and we defended a base 5 times, coming first place on our team by close to 400 points. New Mexico second with 1600. Enemy team was another New Mexico with 1400 base XP, first on their team. As for damage done, 126,000 damage. So pretty good. I would have liked it to be a bit more, especially considering there were 5 citadels, but every time I did seem to get a Citadel, it was on a very low health target, so the game was trolling me a little bit. But anyways, that is it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below and consider subscribing for more World of Warships, Armored Warfare, and a few other things that are thrown into the mix from time to time. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is Predator 458 signing off, and I will see you guys next time.